Hi everyone, welcome to Bernina Club. Because Christmas is pretty much on our doorstep, I thought I would show you how to make this really quick and easy table runner that is very effective. So we got in some new fabric which I've absolutely fallen in love with, and it's quite different. So it goes from golds through to silvers, and rather than having a total Christmassy theme, I thought I would make this because it could be used all year round. But I absolutely love the fabric. So because I wanted to show you the table runner, I thought I'd do something a little bit different than my normal Christmas reds and whites and blacks. So the first thing you do is you need to cut 4.5-inch squares of your main colour. Now because I've got this fabric and it goes from the gold through to the silver, I'm going to run it on my table runner through gold through to silver. So you simply lay your, when you've cut your 4.5-inch squares out, you simply lay them down, and mine's going to grade through from the gold to the silver. Actually, I'm going to lay this down so I can see which way it went. So lay this down so I can see, so the darker one goes through to the end. And you can make your table runner as long as you like. I feel that that was that end. Okay, this end, dark through to lighter, I'm feeling. And you put them on point. And then I feel that, maybe that way. That way. And let's see what else we've got here, just in case, because I've got some on the other side. Aha! That's why it's not blending. And through to here, and through to here. So just turn them all over so you can see what you've got. And I'm going to decide how many I want. I don't think I want it too much longer. So I'm going to have one of these darks and maybe one more light. There, I think I'll make it that long. Make a decision. I'm even wondering if I actually will have that one in it. I think I might just go from dark through to light. I'm taking out one of those because there was too much dark there. So I'm just rearranging so I can decide. Okay, so that's going to be my dark. I've kind of, by the looks, taken out of every second one now that I can see that. There, and there, and there. I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to end up the same length. If I want it longer, I can put in my last dark one. Yep, that's what I'm doing. So I'm taking out 3, or else it would end up extremely long. Then I decided I would use these two colours, the silver and the gold, together to make my 4 blocks. This one here. So I've used black and red on this one, whereas I'm using silver and gold on this one to tie it all in. So these are 2.5-inch strips cut, and I'm going to sew those together. So don't go cutting 2.5-inch squares, even though you're going to be stitching these together and they will end 2.5-inch squares. Just cut your fabric in one long strip. So this is 110 wide, and I'm putting right side to right side. Now you're just straight stitching this whole project, which is nice and easy, but to make life really easy, I'm going to use my 1/4-inch 57 foot. Now this is a basic 1/4-inch foot, but it has a guide along the side. So that means I can run it along the raw edge of my fabric and I will get a nice straight 1/4-inch finish. Okay, so I'm going to pop that on. I've just got cream thread, I've got my iron at the ready. So whenever I'm going to be stitching, doing patchwork, I always have my iron right beside me. If you press your fabric together that you're going to be stitching, you'll get a much nicer finish as well. So just press that together and it holds it. I don't pin a lot when I'm doing this sort of work, but I do press. You must press everything. And I actually can tell what's happened here, and this is really good to show you. I can tell that when this was cut on the fold, it wasn't cut straight. So I'm actually going to cut my fabric here because I've got a real kink happening here. Where it was folded, it wasn't straight, so I'm going to get rid of that. because otherwise that's going to not work when I go to cut them, and I'm going to get rid of the kink on the other side. Amazing. Luckily I picked that up because that could be a bit of a drama. So I'm just going to press this side now, and you can see straight away if it's nice and straight and square. Do not stitch it if you think it's got a kink, because it'll never ever work. So there, it's ironed. So, and I'll re-iron that one as well just to make sure. So now all I do is use my knee control, put my foot down, and you can start on the end here. What you can do, if you like, you can have a little bit of fabric. I'll just cut that in half. I've showed you this once before, and have your little thread saver at the beginning and foot control, and start sewing onto your thread saver. Should we plug the foot control in? I reckon that'll work. It is way down on the ground. So foot control in. Amazing how a machine needs a foot control to work. So with your thread saver, you just start sewing onto there and then straight onto your work. So you're running your 1/4 inch foot along the raw edge of your fabric. And just watch the guide, don't worry about where the needle's going or anything like that. Now if you're sewing on your machine after you've watched this and your machine does not sound this quiet, give it a new needle and give it some oil in your shuttle area, okay? Unless you've got a machine where you need to oil it elsewhere, but give it a drink, because all I've done is given this a quick drink before the class. Now I've come to the end, so I'm going to put my little thread saver on this end, and then I'm ready for the next one. Then you just come here and you cut the thread off that one, and this thread saver is ready for the next one. Now all I do is I get my next piece ready. Obviously I will not be sewing the whole thing, but it gives you the idea of how you do it to make life very, very easy. And then next month I will be showing you, which will be the end of this month, I'll be showing you how to quilt it. So just start off on the next one and make sure it's nice and even. So I will email you this pattern. It's just the easiest pattern. It's one we've done for many, 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 many years, and it was given to us by one of our customers who's since passed away, and we make it all the time and think of her often. So it's been a very, very, very good pattern. I don't know where it originally came from, but it's just been one of those nice easy patterns that you could do very quickly for beginners as well. A thread saver on the end, and then cut it. Okay, so you've got that, and you've got that. Now what you're going to do now is you're going to press all your seams to one side, okay, on both pieces. Press it to the same side. So I'm just going to press this all to one side, and you can press from the wrong side first, the right side first, whatever you normally do is fine. I don't know if there are certain rules. Everyone has their own opinion of this, so we'll just go with this one. And press it, and then press it from the right side again, just to make sure you don't want any kinks in this. Okay, so that's what you've got. You've got your 2.5 inch strips together. And I'll do the same to this one, so I press mine towards the gold. Okay, quite nice having one where you can use silver and gold, because I'm quite a silver person, but I just loved this fabric, so I had to share it with you and show you something a little bit different. Don't always have to be traditional red and white for Christmas. Now, some of you may have seen my strip ruler, some of you may have not seen my strip ruler. I'm just going to move that all the way up there so I don't get into a mess. So this is a strip ruler here, and every 1/2 inch there is a cut in the board. Makes life very easy. And I've marked my strip ruler from 0 to 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 because I use this for my strip club. And all the strips I use are 2.5 inches wide. And if some of you haven't done patchwork and you go, why is it all in inches? Because patchwork is done in inches. and the Americans are still in inches. So now I'm going to cut these in 2.5 inch strips. This makes the job very easy. So I just pop my fabric on the board, and I use one of the lines. I'll move it up so you can see. I'll use one of the lines that's there. So I line it up nice and evenly. Come over so I'm not going to waste too much fabric. And I'm just going to lay my strip ruler down, and I'm going to put the 0 mark on my first line. This is actually makes life so easy. And then I'm going to use my cutter, pull my blade back, put my cutter in the groove, make sure you get it in the groove, and just go straight up the 0, start at 2.5, you've got a nice little area there to go into, me saying that, up to 2.5, and then onto 5, and then onto 7.5, and you just follow all the way down till you've cut all your pieces. Such a clever ruler, and it's so much quicker than cutting it normally. Oh, nearly missed. That's why I mark it, because it's really easy to do it wrong. So once you've done that, you just simply pick these up, and they are all cut in 2.5 inch strips. Okay, and that's obsolete. So I'll just cut the next one and show you. And then I'll leave one, and I'll just show you how you normally would have to cut it if you didn't have a strip ruler, just so that you're aware of how easy this is. So line up your 0, and it's really good with the alpha boards because everything lines up and you can see clearly you've done it right. So you go 0, 2.5, 5, 7, 10. And I'll just stop there so I can show you what you do with your normal ruler. Okay? So normally what you would do is you would get your ruler here, and you would line it up with one of the lines on your ruler, and you would find your 2.5, and you would line up your ruler at 2.5. Make sure your vertical and your horizontal lines are even, and put your pressure on your ruler. Make sure your cutter's open. Put your cutter up against your ruler and push down. Okay, there you've got one cut, and it sometimes moves, so if you're not sure, just put it back on a line. Come to 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. Make sure it's square, put your pressure on, and cut. And if it hasn't moved, then you can just walk along and line it up. It does take time. Okay, make sure you cut your blade when you're finished. Rightio? Okay, so now what's going to happen with these is you're going to turn every second one around. So I'm just going to turn them like this. I think these are going to look really, really cool. Turn it over. Turn it around like that. Now, because you've pressed it correctly, what's going to happen when you have flipped these over, you're going to have your seams going exactly the way you want them to go. So one's going to be facing this way to the right, the underneath one's going to be facing the left. And then you can line these up, and you know that you're going to get a perfect finish. Okay? Now you can do one of two things. You can just iron it and then stitch it, or you can put a pin in on an angle like this to hold them, or you could use my fantastic pins here, which are fork pins by Clover. They look like a fork, and you can pin them either side of your seam like that. Very cool. Then you can lift it up and you can make sure that that's perfect. They're probably the most accurate pins to use for something like this. I think they're absolutely brilliant. Anyway, so back to this. So we find our thread saver that we've buried somewhere. Oh well, make another one, doesn't matter. I have a habit of losing things so fast. Oh look, it's on the machine. Well, let's use that one till we find another one, shall we? We've just got our thread saver sitting there. I'll just come back here. I forgot I had it. Now, so I'm going to start here and go down, and I would get them all ready before I do anything else. I wouldn't do one at a time, to tell you the truth. I just have them all sitting stacked up ready to go, but I'll just show you. So you just start off and you run it down. The best part of these fork pins is I can pretty much just leave them in there till I'm finished. I'd stop here. I would have the next one ready. So I'll get 2 or 3 ready. I would not be sitting down, and to tell you the truth, what I do is I actually just have them all pressed before I start, because you get, it's just foolproof and idiot proof. It sets the seam, and it tends to not move, so I don't often pin something this small. Okay, but if you're going to pin it, the fork pins are the best. And we'll see if my ironing and sewing is as accurate as my pinning in a minute. We'll try the 3 different methods. This one can have a pin on the angle, and we'll see which ones are the best. And your thread saver on the end. There we go. Okay, so this time you're going to be pressing them again. Take my pin out. And when you press it, depending on how you're going to quilt it, you can either press it to one side, and the fork pin method was perfect, or you could press them open. So at this stage you could think how you're going to finish it off, and if it's going to be stitched on both sides, you could open that seam up, but I'm not going to be doing that. Then you decide whether you want the gold in the middle or you want the silver in the middle, and straight away the gold looks so much better in the center. So let's have a look how it's going to look. So you just line them up. Now I can move this back so you can see how it's going to look. And another one. Yeah, definitely the gold in the center. So you sew all your blocks and you put them both sides. You see that? See how it's starting to take effect? I'll sew a couple more so you can really see it, possibly. There they are. Yeah, that's going to look really nice. When you've done it, if you find it's actually too busy, I have a trick up my sleeve, and I have used it before when I've done one and I went, it's just a little bit too busy. I have a fantastic gold tape that I use from Clover, and it's an iron-on bias tape, and I use it as a line through the middle, so it kind of borders it. It's really, really cool. So if I find that it's too busy, that's what I'll be doing. Oh, now I didn't check my points. They're actually good on all of them, which is good. But to tell you the truth, like I said, I don't pin these ones because they're only very, very small. They just don't seem to move. But as long as you've stitched them correctly and you've pressed them, you're pretty well on your way to getting it right. Because if it's not square, it doesn't all line up. Thread saver on the end. I think everyone should make one of these because they're super, super easy. Very, very quick. Press that open. And my next one. You can do them, honestly, for friends for Christmas. That's how quick they are. But you need to start now because it's around the corner. So, once you've decided what colour you're having, you just line them all up. And now my accent colour is going to be the gold. Okay, this is called Fairy Frost. And so what you do with this is you get a 7-inch square, 7-inch strip of fabric, and I'm going to cut this into a 7-inch square. Okay, so I'm going to line it up here, and I'm going to cut this into a 7-inch square. So I've got my 7-inch marking on my ruler, and I just line this up. And I'm using the wrong side of the fabric, not the right side with the sparkle on it. And I will tell you that the sparkle doesn't come off in the wash. It is a little bit funny, but I did buy some beautiful fabric one year, and it was from that place that starts with S, and it was white and it had beautiful stars all over it, and after Christmas I washed it and all the stars came off. This sparkle doesn't come off our fabric. So when you've cut your 7-inch square like this, what you're now going to do is you're going to cut it into 4. So you're just going to lay it on the board, and you're going to put your ruler from one point to the other side, and you're going to cut a line through there, and then you're going to put your ruler on the opposite line, and you line up the center, the vertical line there, horizontal line actually, and you are going from point to point. So this is giving you your triangles for the center. So now what you do is you lay your triangles through the center here like this, and these will go all the way along and all the way along here, and you can see how it's starting to take shape. Now once you've done all your triangles, I'll just sit another one here so you can get a bit of an idea. Once you've done all your triangles, you've got them all in the length, then you're going to join the whole row together. Okay, so if I move this, and you can see you separate them, just move this, and they're all joined in rows. So my first job would be to put this one right side to right side, and I join these two together. And again, I always like to press before I stitch. Now this is how clever this is. When you sew this seam, you will have 1/4 inch of fabric hanging over the edge for your seam. So if I turn this round like that, that depth from there to there should be 1/4 inch unless I haven't cut it right. So when I sew this now, oops, she has flipped around. When I sew this one now, make sure your edges are all lined up, and you'll know if you've done it nice and square, because this is the telltale. It's pretty close. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's pretty close. Then you press your seam away from you, away from your 4, and again you're not going to get all the sparkle coming off, and you lay it back down so you know where you're up to. Okay, I'm going to join this one to this one now, so I'm just going to flip this one over. But yeah, you've just got to do it. You've just got to make them because they're too easy. And I turn it over so that I'm not sewing against my seam. Line it all up and stitch it down. And cut. Oh, I forgot my thread saver. See how quick it is to forget, and then you're wasting thread. So press that one away from you. Put it back where it goes, and you can see where you're up to now. So now I'm going to join this one to this one. So flip this over, and everything should match up. So if it doesn't, we had a lady in a class the other day and it didn't match up, and we found she'd cut something 1/8 inch too small. So it was interesting, and it just didn't work. Okay, so you can see how this works. You just join. Just line everything up, do one row at a time, join it all the way up, and then the last one is just this one to this one. So I will just quickly do that one, and you're going to join all of those together, and then I will show you how you finish off your table runner. So you're going to join all the rows, get all your things joined together, and there you have your first row done. I'll tell you a little secret. So there's your rows. When you're pressing these, you want to press them so that the next one's opposite. So that when you join this one, you'll press it this way, so when you join them, they'll join nicely. So there's your first row done. Okay, and there's your pressing from the back. So you can do all your squares, join them all in rows, The last one only has 2, which I'll show you when you come back after the break. But I'll join all of this together so that you can have a look how we then do the outer. So you need to do all your 4 blocks first, and then all your rows first, and then we're going to border it with a binding, with a border, 2 borders. So happy stitching, and while you are having a break, I'm going to stitch this all together, and then I'm going to show you how to finish it.